What if the secret to invincibility isn't about being the strongest or the fastest, but about being the most balanced? In a world that pushes us to extremes, one ancient book reveals the power of the unshakable center. This is not just philosophy, it is the ultimate survival guide for the soul. Welcome to the Doctrine of the Mean. Hello, and welcome back to our deep dive into wisdom. Today, we are decoding a masterpiece of Eastern thought, the Doctrine of the Mean, or Zhongyang. Written by Zisi, the grandson of Confucius, this text is often misunderstood as a call for compromise or mediocrity. Let me be clear, the mean is not about being average, it is about dynamic equilibrium. Imagine a tightrope walker. They are not standing still, they are constantly adjusting, moving, and responding to gravity to stay perfectly upright. That active, intense focus is the essence of the mean. At the heart of this book lies a powerful concept called shendu, which translates to watchfulness over oneself when alone. Integrity is easy when the cameras are rolling, but who are you when the doors are locked and the lights are out? Zisi argues that true power comes from this solitary discipline. If you can be honest with yourself when no one is watching, you build an inner core that no external chaos can shatter. The book also offers a profound psychological framework regarding our emotions: joy, anger, sorrow, and happiness. It defines zhong as the stillness before these feelings arise, and harmony as expressing them in the perfect degree at the perfect moment. It teaches us not to suppress our feelings, but to master them. It is the difference between a noise and a symphony. Consider your own life. Most failures come from excess or deficiency, working too hard until you burn out, or waiting too long until an opportunity is lost. Confucius teaches us the art of timeliness. The mean is not a fixed point on a map. It is a moving target. It requires the wisdom to know exactly what is needed, right here, right now. This text essentially claims that self-mastery is the prerequisite for world mastery. By aligning your internal universe, you begin to influence the external world naturally, without force. It is a leadership manual that starts with the leader's soul. But how do we apply this abstract wisdom to our stressful jobs and complicated relationships? Let's switch gears and use NotebookLM's data analysis to uncover the practical, step-by-step mean mindset techniques you can start using today.
Today, we're diving into a philosophical guide that's about 2,500 years old, but you'd be surprised at how much it has to say about our chaotic modern world. Let's jump right in. You ever feel like we're living in a world of absolutes, just constantly being pulled from one side to the other, or finding any kind of reasonable middle ground feels, well, impossible? If you've ever felt that pull, you are definitely not alone. The shouting from the extremes can get pretty loud. But what if the answer isn't just about splitting the difference right down the middle? Well, there's this ancient Confucian text, the Zhongyang, or the Doctrine of the Mean, and it offers a totally different way of thinking about this. It says the goal isn't some static, boring, middle-of-the-road position. Nope. The goal is a dynamic, appropriate, and timely response to whatever life throws at you. It's less about compromise and way more about finding the absolute perfect action for that exact moment. Now, to really get what this is all about, we gotta go back to where it all started. This isn't just some dusty old book. This is a powerhouse text that became a cornerstone of East Asian philosophy, shaping how people thought for centuries. So get this, the text was written by Zisi, who was actually Confucius's grandson. For hundreds of years, it was kind of just tucked away as a single chapter in this bigger work called the Book of Rites. But then way later in the Song dynasty, this brilliant philosopher named Zhu Xi basically rediscovered it. He saw how incredibly profound it was and pulled it out, making it one of the 4 books, the absolute essential reading for anyone studying Confucianism. It pretty much became required reading. So what's the big deal? What gives this one short text so much power that it's lasted all this time? Well, it all comes down to its core idea, which is built on this really simple but kind of cosmic foundation. It's this clear, logical chain that connects the whole universe right down to our daily lives. Okay, here's how it works. It starts with what's called heaven's mandate. Think of it like the universe's operating system, a universal order. That cosmic law is then given to each of us, and it becomes our inner nature, which is seen as fundamentally good. So the way, the right path in life, is simply to follow that true nature. And what's education for? It's just learning how to do that. So the big takeaway here is that morality isn't some set of rules you have to follow. It's about awakening a truth that's already inside of you. Right. So we have this cosmic blueprint inside us. Cool. But how do we actually follow it? How do we access it? Well, the whole system runs on one single, incredibly powerful concept. And that concept is song, which we often translate as sincerity, but it's so much more than that. And this is the cool part. The character itself is literally made from the symbols for word and to become. So it means to make your words become reality. This isn't just about telling the truth. It's an active, creative force. It's the power to perfectly align your inner thoughts with your outer actions to make it all one seamless whole.
There's this amazing quote from the text that just nails it. The universe, heaven, it just is sincere. It functions perfectly and truthfully without even trying. But for us humans, well, for us, it's a journey. Our whole purpose is to strive to become sincere, to work towards that perfect, effortless state.
But let's be honest, what does sincerity really mean when we're talking about our own lives? There's the story about a kid who studied like crazy for a test, pulled all-nighters, did everything he could, and then he failed. He was crying and said, "But I was so sincere, I tried so hard, why didn't it work?" And that really gets to the heart of the question. Is sincerity just about putting in a lot of effort? According to the Zongyang, not quite. It says that true sincerity has to pass 3 big tests. First, you need unceasing effort. And that doesn't just mean trying hard. It means you keep going until you actually genuinely get it. Second, you need meticulousness. That means giving your full, sincere attention to even the tiniest, most boring details. And third, and this is the big one, is watchfulness when alone. That's the ultimate test, right? Are you still living by your principles when there's nobody there to see you?
Okay, so if this deep, active sincerity is our engine, how do we actually start steering this thing? Let's get into how we can apply this idea of balance to our everyday lives.
The text draws a really sharp contrast between 2 types of people. You have the superior person, who practices what's called shizong, or timely balance. This person is like a surfer on a wave, constantly adjusting, always finding the perfect, most appropriate response for that specific moment. On the other hand, you've got the small person. This person just acts on impulse, with no restraint, totally ignoring the right way to be.
And this brings us right back to the absolute core practice for getting that balance. Shindok, watchfulness when alone. This is everything. This is the foundation. Why? Because your real character isn't what you show off in public. It's forged in those quiet moments when it's just you. Who you are in private, well, that's who you really are. And that's what eventually shapes the person everyone else sees.
Now you might be thinking this all sounds like a whole lot of personal navel-gazing. But the Zongyang makes a claim that is way, way bigger than that. It argues that all this deep inner work creates a ripple effect, one that can change the entire cosmos. It works in these 3 stages, moving outwards. First, it starts with the individual. You work on yourself, you fulfill your own true nature, and you achieve your own moral completion. Then that expands to the social level. Because you're in balance, you can now help other people find their true nature, and that creates social harmony. And finally, you get to the cosmic stage. A truly harmonious society actually helps heaven and earth stay in balance. It's this breathtaking idea that your personal self-improvement is directly linked to the health of the entire universe.
And this was not just an abstract idea. It had massive political consequences. This philosophy became the foundation for an ideal called rule by virtue, which was a huge deal in East Asia for centuries. It basically argued that a ruler's right to be in charge didn't come from their army or their wealth, it came from their moral character. A ruler's inner sincerity could literally bring peace and harmony or total chaos to the entire nation.
So let's bring it all back home. After 2,500 years, what can we take away from all this? How can these ancient ideas help us deal with our own chaotic, polarized times?
All right, let's boil it all down. First, sincerity isn't just a feeling, it's an action. It's the daily work of making your words, thoughts, and actions all line up. Second, practice watchfulness. Your real integrity is what you do when you think no one is looking. Third, seek that timely balance. Don't just settle for a lazy compromise. Ask yourself, what's the absolute best response right now? And finally, start with yourself. That personal work you do really can have a ripple effect and create harmony around you. So, I'll leave you with this to chew on. In a world that is always trying to pull you to one extreme or another, what does your own personal timely balance even look like? And maybe more importantly, what's just one small, meticulous, and sincere action you can take today, especially when no one's watching, to start finding it?